All right, so we have the nominees for the Game Awards that were revealed not too long ago. I wanted to wait for the weekend before making a video about the nominees. As always, as usual, I will not be watching the Game Awards or really paying attention to who wins. Maybe I'll take a look at the aftermath, but I'm usually right about my predictions about who's going to win in most of the major categories, and I upload these videos every year. For Game of the Year this year, I'm only going to discuss a few different select categories, but for Game of the Year this year, the games that have been nominated are Astrobot, unsurprisingly, Balatro, which is some card game that I
Heard of that.
didn't even know existed until recently. Yeah. Black Myth Wukong, which is a fucking joke. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which is an even greater joke.
DLC?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's actually a huge controversy with this particular selection this year of nominees, and we'll get to that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got nominated, which again is a joke, and then Metaphor ReFantazio got nominated. So we're gonna get to the nominees for that, but as usual, there's nothing but a bunch of bullshit nominated. Well, I'm glad Silent Hill 2 got nominated for something because it's been snubbed in a few different key categories. Best RPG. Here we are. And then okay, yeah, we'll start with best fighting game. So we have Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy Rising versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Multiversus, and Tekken 8. Obviously, the game that should win and the game that will win this category is Tekken 8. How the fuck Dragon Ball Sparking Zero got nominated is beyond me. A lot of the critics that played Sparking Zero wrote it off as nothing but a generic, fan service anime arena fighting game that didn't really have any major depth to it. And even as someone that casually likes the game, it recognizes all the faults of what's wrong with it. The critics were right on this one. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was a huge disappointment. Huge disappointment. Among the list of many games this year. But yeah, Tekken 8 should take that. Best RPG. Again, how Dragon's Dogma 2 got nominated is beyond me. Or even Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The demo alone was enough for me. I was like, yeah, this is some dog shit.
I thought Dragon's Dogma 2 flop.
It pretty much did flop. Yeah. Even amongst the Steam community, it still has a mixed score overall, which should tell you something. There were things going on with that game where I was like, what the fuck? How are you gonna make an open world game and not provide the player with a mount? And then make fast travel, this complicated thing where you need certain items in order to fucking fast travel. It's like, what the fuck, dude? And then, I also read that the story pretty much is abandoned like early on, and then, the clunky combat system and everything. If enemies see you on the map, then they chase you down and they chase you till the ends of the fucking earth. It's just, I don't know what Capcom was thinking with that. Obviously, the game that should win this category is Metaphor ReFantazio, although I suspect that Elden Ring is probably going to take it because, the industry still has a fetish with From Software in their games, which is undeserved, but there you go. Best action adventure game. Why is Silent Hill 2 in this category? It's not an it's not an action adventure game. It's a survival horror game. Well, what sense does that make? And then Astrobot was nominated. I don't know. They're probably going to give it the Prince of Persia. This Zelda game didn't review well. Critics pretty much like,
Oh wow, I'm surprised about that.
yeah, our critics pretty much wrote that game off. So Nintendo didn't have a repeat of Tears of the Kingdom success with Zelda this year. So I'd imagine Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown will take this one because Star Wars Outlaws flopped. So best action game. This one,
Stellar Blade got on here? Wow.
yeah, I don't know how that got nominated at all. Like, just the year has been filled with disappointments. I'm not sure which one of these is gonna win. It could go to any one of them. I don't think Black Myth should win anything, and Stellar Blade definitely shouldn't win anything. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it takes this category. Although I think Warhammer, Space Marine 2, and Helldivers 2 is probably more deserving by comparison. It's too bad that out of the games that I did care about playing, the one game I really cared about playing out of this group, Space Marine 2, which I did buy, I can't even fucking play on PC because the stupid fucking game, will freeze at the opening cutscene. So the only way I can play it is on my Steam Deck, and I refuse to play a lower resolution version of it on a handheld that I can't even fucking record on. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to play it, even though I pre-ordered it and bought it day one. I've been trying to get it to work since day one. Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I haven't covered that. But yeah, let me go up here. A lot of these categories are bullshit. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Going up. Best performance. Who the fuck is Brianna White? Which character did she play in Rebirth? I'd imagine this
Probably
probably
didn't even list who they play as.
maybe they didn't in this particular article. Oh, Aerith. I figured it was Aerith, but I wasn't sure. Okay. Yeah, they're probably going to choose her. If she doesn't take it, then it's probably going to be Luke Roberts.
I didn't know they were still making new Life is Strange games.
Apparently those games are popular somehow. Best musical score. I mean, that's a very subjective category. I don't really care which one wins. Stellar Blade isn't going to take it. It's probably going to be either Silent Hill 2, Rebirth, or ReFantazio. It's going to be one of those three. Art direction. I'd imagine Black Myth is going to take that.
I can see that.
Yeah. Best narrative. It's probably either going to be ReFantazio or Silent Hill 2. It's going to be one of those two. If they give it the Rebirth, then they can fuck off.
Did you play Infinite Well? Like a Dragon?
No, I'm not really a Like a Dragon fan. I have a number of the games, but I've only played a part of 3. But it's so old with the design of that particular game that I don't really have much interest in playing the rest of the series. And those are long games, by the way. They're like fucking 60+ hour games. I don't have the fucking time to go through multiple fucking 60+ hour games right now. So, best game direction. They should give that to ReFantazio, but something tells me they're going to give it to something else.
And Elden Ring is damn near and everything.
And finally, we have Game of the Year. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why the fuck is a DLC expansion nominated for Game of the Year?
Yeah, I noticed it immediately.
What the fuck were they thinking, dude? Like, seriously, this whole Game Awards thing it's become a parody of itself. Like it's become a parody of just how bad the gaming industry has become, like how much of a joke it's become. I can understand nominating a remake for Game of the Year because like last year. Last year we had Resident Evil 4 was nominated for Game of the Year. But that was basically a completely new game compared to the original with all the changes that they put into it. So that makes sense why they did that. But with the DLC expansion, now we're entering the realm of no return, And Balatro, I think this is a mobile game. That's why I didn't fucking hear anything
Really?
about it. I think so because it was nominated in the mobile game category.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't really understand. And even with some of these other games that are nominated, like Black Myth Wukong, that's just a game where you fucking go from, you're funneled along a linear path from boss to boss for like 40+ hours. Like that's why I skipped it. I was like, man, I don't want to fucking play that. And the only reason The only reason, because critics didn't review Black Myth Wukong, that the game didn't really review that highly. It got like a low 8 on Metacritic. The reason that game was a huge success is because it's a Chinese game and Chinese players came out in droves to support it. So the game sold, I think, 10 million copies in like 3 days or some shit. It has like over 700,000, positive reviews, resulting in an overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam. But most of those reviews came from Chinese players who are clearly biased in favor of the game because it's a game that originates in their country, and video games in China is like this. It's a fairly new phenomenon over there because traditionally they haven't had access. The video game industry hasn't been a huge part of Chinese culture over there. So when Black Myth Wukong came out, it was this huge cultural event for Chinese people. That's why the game was successful. But if you ignore all that and look at the game on its own merits, it's not really that good. It's a lazy, cheap Souls clone where there's virtually no story in it. Again, like the majority of the games in that genre, and it just funnels the player along from boss to boss for 40 plus hours. That's not worthy of a Game of the Year nomination. At least not to me, it's not. Then you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The ending alone ruined that entire fucking game. Not to mention all the other fucking issues that it had when I played the demo. That's why I didn't want to fucking play it. I was like, how are you gonna make a fucking game where, an RPG game where it's like you have this party-based system, but the fucking the characters can't jump. There's no fucking jump mechanic. There's no jump button. And then you put all these aerial enemies in the game. So if I'm playing as fucking Tifa and I'm fighting this fucking dragon-looking thing or whatever, she can't jump up in the air. So I'm just like swiping at the fucking air, looking stupid on screen. There's only one character that can jump up in the air, and it's really like a teleport, and that's Cloud. So you have to switch to him. But what if Cloud's not in your fucking party? Then what are you gonna do? You gotta play as Barret, a long range character like Barret or Aerith, but their damage output is so fucking minuscule that it's not even fucking, the game's not even fun. So they took elements that were not as bad in it's clearly problematic, but not as bad in the first game, and made them worse in the second game. The point of a sequel is you're supposed to improve upon what the previous iteration did. And then obviously there's the bullshit ending where it's revealed that Aerith died like she did in the original Final Fantasy VII, but she only died in one timeline and she's alive in other timelines and shit. And so they forced in this fucking multiverse bullshit that doesn't make any fucking sense, which actually reveals the fact that it's not really a remake of Final Fantasy VII, it's actually a fucking sequel to Final Fantasy VII. Despite the fact that they keep calling this a remake trilogy when it's anything but. It's really a sequel trilogy that's disguised to be, window dressed to be a remake, but it's not. And I also played a little bit of the demo for Metaphor ReFantazio. It really is just Persona all over again, but just in a bigger, larger open world environment. Atlus is a much better company than Square Enix at this point when it comes to making JRPGs, and they're damn sure much better than From Software. Really, in this category, it should be between Astrobot and Metaphor. The rest of these don't even fucking make sense as far as I'm concerned. And it only emphasizes just how weak the year has been overall with gaming. It's just been terrible across the board. And not only that, but this particular category, there's two games that were snubbed. The first is Persona 3 Reload, which Atlus has had at least one other game that they released this year that's been nominated, which is Metaphor, so that's not really that big of a deal that Persona 3 got snubbed. The other one that definitely got snubbed is that should be included in this category is the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, yeah.
Which has been praised across the board. I praised it. It's a fantastic remake, fantastic game, and it deserves to be on this fucking list way more so than a fucking DLC expansion of a shitty overhyped game from 2 years ago, or a
Yeah,
boss
software has
rush
to be
game.
easy.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, since software has it easy, it's like no matter what they do, yeah, they're praised no matter what. I mean, it's just easy for them.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And the thing about it is, like with from software, Hidetaka Miyazaki, their president or whatever, the president of that company, he'll admit when certain things are wrong with his game. Like he came out in a statement recently, I think it was a few weeks ago, and he said that he thinks it's a problem that their games are too vague in terms of guiding the player and informing them as to what they're supposed to do in terms of like where they're supposed to go next and shit. Because a lot of the time with their games, players have to go on the internet and search up exactly how to proceed, and he thinks that's a problem and it should be fixed. But I've been saying that's a problem with their games for years. People like me have been saying that's a problem with their games for years. But we like it when the games don't hold your hand. It's like the game's not holding your hand if it's telling you where the fuck to go. It's just guiding you along where you're supposed to fucking go. That's not hand holding. And if their own president thinks that believes that's an issue with their games and wants to fix it and improve it, what do you got to say now? You know? It's a fucking joke. I'm not even gonna get into it with From Software and their fucking ignorant ass fan base, but it's a joke this year, man. 2024 has been notoriously bad, even more so than usual for the gaming industry. It's been horrible this year, terrible. Almost every major release has resulted in a disappointment in some form or fashion. And certain games that I did have an interest in, I lost interest in rather quickly because usually a demo was released or something was revealed in the reviews where I was like, nah, I'm not gonna fucking invest in that. I'm not gonna waste my time. And then there are certain games that I did invest in and I can't even fucking play them because they're not fucking optimized properly on PC, like Space Marine 2, Star Wars Outlaws. I just showed you a few minutes of that. I was really looking forward to that game. That was like one of my top three most anticipated games of the year, and I can't even fucking enjoy it because the game struggles to load in fucking graphical textures, and the frame rate is all fucked up. There's multiple frame rate dips on PC. It's just been notoriously bad for video games this year. And if you look at the industry as a whole, there's been a lot of layoffs virtually in every major studio at every major company across the entire industry this year. And it just proves that AAA game development is unsustainable. It's an unsustainable business model. I don't know how next year is going to turn out. I think 2025 is going to be a stronger year because we have a lot of different games coming out next year. We have Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That's probably, along with Grand Theft Auto 6. That's another one. That's probably my most anticipated. Those two are my most anticipated games coming out next year. We have the Fable reboot, which looks good. I think the Perfect Dark reboot comes out next year. That looks good. We have Gears of War E-Day. We have that the Marvel game that from Amy Hennig, the writer of the Uncharted series. So we have that coming out next year. I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, you're stacked.
Yeah, it is. It is. For anime fans, Bleach Rebirth of Souls comes out early next year. I hope that will turn out to be good. With Bandai Namco being lazy with the last few of their anime arena fighting games since 2021, like they've released a few lazy releases, and I'll probably discuss more about that in a future upload. But I'm still cautiously optimistic for that game. So we do have a lot of interesting releases. We have Ghost of Yotei that's coming out next year. Next year, Insomniac Games should be releasing their Spider-Man spinoff, the Venom game that's scheduled for release. It's scheduled internally right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had a reveal at the Game Awards or at some point early next year for that. I think it's going to be a much stronger year next year, but this year it was just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. I think the three best games that I played this year would be Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Silent Hill 2 Remake, and then this is in no particular order. Oh yeah, Persona 3 Reload. Those would be those would be my top three. I haven't bought Metaphor yet. I do intend to, but I can already tell that game's really good, because it's basically just Persona again, just on a bigger scale. Yeah, just about everything else outside of those three, four if you want to count Metaphor, have been nothing but bullshit. 2024 has been garbage. Mike, do you want to add anything to all of this?
I'm also just really surprised that a card game made it on the game of the year list. A mobile card game that.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I didn't even know what that was until I saw it on the list of nominees.
But yeah, 2025 should be insane. That's all coming out.
Yeah, it should be a much stronger year because, like I said, this year it's just been disappointment after disappointment. Hell, recently, big game that came out recently is Stalker 2. I decided that I was going to just go ahead and skip that. It's been described by almost every major review publication that that game has like severe technical issues on virtually every platform that it's been released on, including PC, which is the primary platform I play on. Just a bunch of annoying bugs and issues with textures and glitches and all sorts of shit, and that's not worth the price of admission, in my opinion.
Just a pretty crappy year in
Yeah,
general.
yeah, it's been a pretty bad year for video games. I hope next year will be better. I do intend to make a video about that in the coming weeks, but I want to wait until after the Game Awards airs because I want to see, what world premieres they're going to have at the Game Awards, which will confirm some new reveals that we may not know about it. They may show a trailer for a game that, has already been announced that we haven't seen anything of in a while, such as the Wonder Woman game that was revealed a few years ago. We may get more details about that. Maybe EA will have some information on their Iron Man game or the Black Panther game that they're producing, that they're publishing. So I just want to wait and see what the world premieres are going to be. And then after they reveal those, because this airs on December the 12th, we'll make a video on that. So the Game Awards is about 3 weeks away. So we'll wait till then. But yeah, fuck 2024 in gaming. Complete fucking joke.